he's not your typical trader, this TikTok guy. You can check, he might have had more followers on TikTok than money in his bank account, I would guess. So how can someone be so creative, be a music teacher, not care to have a bunch of money, and then all of a sudden he has a bunch of money, he has a system, and he's chill about it. He's taking trades and then walking away, maybe going skiing for the day. So could you tell us a little bit about how that's even possible, how you can make, 80, 90K some days and be chill?
Well, it gets to a point. Okay. So I was making like 30, 35K a year teaching music. I think my best year was like 40, 42. So I got used to living without a lot of money. And then once I started making money, the first thing I noticed is that I stopped looking at prices at the grocery store. And I was like, wow, I don't have to like find like the cheapest food to buy. I can just buy whatever food I want. And then after that, literally not much about my life changed. I mean, I don't go like splurging. I've been going on some like skiing trips actually. So that's been a little splurging. But basically what I'm trying to say is it gets to a point to where the money you're making no longer makes any difference in your life. And I would say that like after like maybe 70K, 80K a year for sure. Like once you hit 100K a year, it's like, all that is just complete extra. So when I have that in my trading account and I see that complete extra just going up and down, it doesn't feel like real money because it's just excess. And then it really becomes like I'm doing a video game and I'm playing with like fake rupees or something.
So you're like in the Matrix, Stephen Duck style, sort of.
Yeah. It hurts to lose, but it's the same hurt as when I lose in a video game. It doesn't feel like I just lost 50K when I take a 50K hit because that's part of my excess. I've tucked away like the money I need,
And for people listening, 50K, you lose that, maybe you lose it a few times, but you have a certain number of losses in a row that you expect, right?
Yeah. Anything can happen. So, I just know that, according to my plays, what really changed everything was, I started implementing a downsize system. So if I take a 50K loss, I'm using less size the next trade. So, that will just keep going down. I will never get to zero because, if I'm using a 200K bankroll, I lose 50K. My next trade is based off 150K bankroll. So that helps me feel safe, even if I take several losses in a row.
So that's pretty intuitive.
Yeah. It wasn't for a long time. Evan and I were basically not ever sizing down, even when we took losses in the beginning, and it was terrifying.
Yeah, people talk about the Kelly Criterion, right? And
right,
is that what it says? Don't size down exactly. I know there's like half and a third, and you might have your own special version now.
Yeah, no, it was before Chris Verma, because Chris Verma is the one who I learned Kelly Criterion from, and the Kelly Criterion says 2 size down when you take a loss and 2 size up when you make a win, and that was sort of the missing piece for what we were doing.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, can you go back? Do you remember your first trade?
Yeah, I think I said this in some webinar. My first trade I didn't even take. Evan took for me.
Yeah.
And it was an overnight trade. Well, he showed me how to get into the trade. So I went on my laptop sitting next to him. I get into the trade, and he's like, and now we just hold until tomorrow, and then we get out tomorrow. And then I wake up, I go downstairs. He's like, oh, I already got you out. It did what we wanted. So I just woke up to I think it was like $1,000. It was like insane to me.
It is insane. Today.
Yeah.
And you trusted your brother, Evan, He'd been
Totally. I trusted
trading.
him more than he trusted himself, to be honest.
Wow.
Like he was scared to do he was scared to do things, and I started doing them because I was like, I don't know, it sounds like you're making sense. I'm just gonna do it.
I remember you saying that you follow his system in like
Yeah.
a Tim Sykes video more than he does.
Yeah.
Because that sort of made him grow as well, you think?
Oh, I think totally. Yeah, yeah. And he follows it more now than he ever did. And I think he actually just recently is trying to follow it like exactly now. I might have influenced him to follow it maybe a little more.
You flipped the switch, huh?
See. I mean, because he knows it's like theoretically better. And for me, it's better because whenever I don't follow it, I make less money. I think he's up or down. He'll make more or less depending, but I think he's decided to just follow it.
Interesting.
But we'll see. I don't know. You'll have to ask him.
Yeah, absolutely. But so what was it, following his system where you first realized this is going to be sustainable, this is going to be consistent, and you could see it in your P&L?
I didn't know. I didn't know.
Didn't. Okay.
No, we were terrified. We were scared and worried it would go away basically the entire time we were doing it. It wasn't until we found Verma, who was basically doing, in terms of gap up shorts, he was basically doing like 80% or 90% exactly what we were doing.
Mhm.
And talking to him and finding him made us realize that this probably won't just like go away. It will change and slowly morph over time. But we had this fear that we're just going to wake up one day and it's not going to work anymore and we're going to lose our money. But he convinced us that's probably not true.
What did he say to convince you?
Just that it's been going on for a long time. It was really just seeing someone else also doing it. We thought we just found some like cheat and it can't be real. And
But
we're like, it's probably just going to go away.
You knew a little bit about it though, right? Because you'd watch Cortani and et cetera, right?
Yeah. I mean, they do gap up shorts, but they don't trade it like we trade it. We thought that's how we were supposed to trade it, was how they trade it. And then we thought we found some weird little cheat that shouldn't exist. I mean, we'll see. I mean, you never know with the market. I mean, maybe it does go away at some point. It hasn't yet, but I don't know. No one knows,
Of course.
Yeah.
But it's cool that you're comfortable enough, it sounds like right now, where you're innovating, you're trying new things, and
that's the most important thing, is just constantly keeping up with it and making sure it's still working. I check my data every week just to see if it's morphing or changing, anything like that,
Yeah. So what's an example of something maybe you've tried that hasn't worked? That's real new. Maybe you are going for certain market caps or floats or some type of news or sector, or what type of feature would you be looking at maybe to tweak?
So, well, for me personally, it's intraday parabolic moves that I have not been succeeding in. So that's in the middle of the day or even in the early morning, and a stock just starts kind of spiking from nowhere. And I'm not succeeding in it for a couple of reasons. The main reason is that I just never spent time tracking it. I haven't studied it. And because I haven't studied it, I just don't have the most confidence in it. And that really messes up the psychology when you're trading it. So I'll do and they come so fast sometimes I just miss getting in because I'm not sitting at my computer. So basically I've just had very bad luck, and the ones that I have gotten in just don't work. And so I'm just like overall red on them. I know I believe that they're real, and I believe that they work, and that you can have a lot of success in them. I just have had bad luck with them. And I also don't want to stare at my computer all day waiting for them to come. So I just recently decided I'm not going to do them. I can't execute them successfully.
That sounds like a mature, sounds like you know yourself, you know what you want.
Yeah, you have to. Because it's system type trading, the more if I start picking and choosing some of these, you can lower your odds. So I like playing systems in which I can accurately execute all the trades.
Makes sense.
Yep.
So when you have a trade, a setup that you like, do you know that you're comfortable in it because you've taken, 100 trades?
Yeah.
It's not like you've seen a back test. I don't know exactly what Verma's style is, but because you have to know that the shares are available at the time, you have to know you can execute.
Right.
So sounds like you're really looking at your history of trades rather than something computer wise.
Yeah. Well, it's the Excel sheet we have. We have before I jumped in 2020, Evan already had a year of these tracked. So every ticker that like gapped up a certain percentage, he had everyone written down. And so when I came in, I saw that. I'm like, that seems cool. So I started doing it, and we've been tracking it ever since then. So we have, over 2 years of every ticker that has done this. So that's what gives you the confidence. That's what the back testing is. We do back test, but it's just with our own Excel sheet,
Cool. So you have your back test and you have your trades that you've taken, and
Yeah.
of course they're in that subset. Cool.
Yeah. But I think the most important thing is having your Excel sheet of data. If you can look at your Excel sheet and see that the last 200 real trades, like these are real trades, the last 200 trades did this same thing like 70, 80% of the time, then you just know that it will probably keep doing that 70 to 80% of the time.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, so there was one bit of a Tim Sykes video where he was talking about, there's a possibility as a short seller, you always worry about a squeeze, right? So Kodak going from 30 to 60 and not being able to get fills in that area.
Yeah.
SPI or late in 2021, DWAC.
Mm-hmm.
These one plays that just take someone out. So you had an interesting point you mentioned where he sort of grilled you and you said you might take off half of your position before it gets to your stop.
So yeah, I think there was some, when we were talking about that, I think there was some misunderstanding between us. But so the reason I take off half the stop, it's only in a very specific situation. And it's when I have a stop loss, say it's my stop loss is at like $4, and a stock is moving up to it really fast. And the fear is that it's going to halt at like 385, 390, and then gap up at like 460. So that's the only thing I'm scared of. So if I see it getting close to my stop and it's about to halt, I'll take out half position in case it gaps up over my halt, and then I have to take that extra loss. That's happened to me one time, and it gapped up over my stop. Not that big, but that was the wake up call that this could, that could happen, and that sucks. So that's what I was preventing for. I think he was talking about, I don't remember exactly what he was talking about, but I've never been scared of not being able to get out, except at a halt. So that's why if the halt is close, I'll try to get out before, but yeah.
No, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
And I think people
like if my stop is at 4 and it's halting at 3, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna wait until it unhalts.
Yeah.
And see where it is.
In that scary, moment, were you able to like mark it out above the halt? So you weren't worried about when you would get executed, right?
Yeah. Oh, when it halted over my stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I just
got out
as soon as it opened, and I just took the extra loss. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So have you tried any long strategies? I mean, the
No.
way you're describing, you have a really high win rate, with your shorts.
Yeah, I don't have anything like that with long. When I'm longing or when Evan's longing, it's really just it's not backed by data. We're just like having fun, like trying to read the market. It's guesswork. I wouldn't tell anyone to follow my longs.
Fair enough.
It's just fun, I'm just like any other guy trying to guess what's going to happen. That's all. I don't have a long strategy.
You're not going to call yourself a discretionary long trader?
No, I mean, I guess I am, but when I'm longing, I'm literally in like 1/20th my normal size. Like
Okay.
I hope to make like 1 or 2K, it's like just for fun. It's not like, yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know about other short sellers, but it seems like the dream would be able to have that in your back pocket in
I know.
case we get a 2020 in a few years again.
Evan's working on one strategy right now, which could possibly become an actual long strategy. Right now, it's just when it happens, it's like, oh, we should. It's kind of like something happens and it triggers the strategy, but our strategy isn't fleshed out enough to have exact entrances or exits. So basically, it's like, oh, this long strategy triggered, but we don't know exactly if we should get in now or wait a little bit. So we kind of just, it triggers and then we like try to read the tape and figure it out from there. But Evan's working on one long strategy right now.
Very cool.
So we'll see what happens.
Sweet. Yeah, because the dream would be able to short and then long, like Jack Kellogg style, like into a squeeze.
Totally.
But it's easier said than done, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So, I'm bringing up traders that maybe are easy for people to find, but like, who do you follow right now, whether they're easy to find or hard to find? Who do you just find yourself reading or watching or anything like that?
I mean, just the people I follow on Twitter. I mean, the people I learned from. So I think Sykes was the first person I learned from, and then Grattani, his student, and then Dux was a huge deal for me as well. And then fast forward a year and a half later, that's when we found Verma, and he became the next teacher. And then that's it for like, trader gurus. And then, on Twitter, I'm just following, like, I don't know, every time I find a successful trader, I just follow them sort of, I try to learn from everyone. So
You just kind of trust by what they're saying at this point, because you know the industry like you. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And you can tell when someone sounds real or not at this point. I can tell.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So, what's your backup plan? Like, we all have to think about that a little bit, but further along you get, you might not think about it as much, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not there yet, but obviously I'm hoping to get to a point to where I put away enough money that I could just like kind of like my backup plan is just like retire forever. But I haven't made that much yet, but honestly, real estate, I just want like a few hundred. I think once I cross over $1 million profits, my celebration might be to get a condo, a short-term rental, like vacation condo somewhere, and try to get in the real estate game maybe that way. But if I lose all my money before I get there, I'll probably just go back to piano lessons.
Sweet. I don't think you're going to have to go back to piano lessons. All that doesn't sound horrible.
No. Yeah. I will see. We'll see. I've tucked enough away to where if I lose my current bankroll, I'll be able to live for a couple years, figuring out what to do next.
Sweet. How close are you to the million? You can, give a range or whatever.
I think I'm at, last time I checked, I was at like 740. So I hit that 700 on that interview. And then I think like a week later, I went down to like 630. And I basically just been in this like mid 600s, high 700s ping pong for like 4 months. It's been so annoying. But it happens. And dude, I did dumb things. I did bigger size on new plays. I should have done even smaller size. So, I tell everyone start small, which is true. And I did start smaller, but I didn't start small enough. I think I did like half size on new plays when I should have done like a quarter or a fifth, maybe even less. When you're experimenting, you got to do small.
Well, the other side of that is it has to be enough where you care about it, so you take it seriously, right?
That is true. Yeah.
But
But then there was one trade. Sorry, what was that?
I was just saying your threshold keeps getting higher, so that's the problem.
Dude, I know. And I saw there was one trade I was in, big lesson I took, huge failure on my part mentally, where it was a new play. So I was in smaller size. And then it was going against me. And when I'm in full size in a play, if it goes against me, I don't react. I just sit there unless it hits my stop, and then I react. But I'm in smaller size in a new play. It's going against me. And I'm like, I'm in small size. I can just like add to it. So I add to it, goes against me more. I'm like, I could keep adding. I'm not at like a full size loss yet. And then I just keep adding, and then it hits the stop. And then I'm like, well, now I just took a full size loss on like a play that should have been like not that big of a loss. And so that was a big mental mistake.
I think we've all done that, not,
Yeah.
in different sizes. I listen to a trader who swings more often. So it might be a week. And so his win rate is much higher than mine because I usually cover during the day. But what I'm curious about is when you add to a play, how do you enter that into your spreadsheet? Do you like use the average of the ads or?
Well, I would treat it as a separate play. Oh, you
Uh,
mean like the spreadsheet of tracking my trades?
yeah, like for your system.
Well, if I'm tracking my trades, I would just sort of average out the price, and I would maybe just write a note that I added. But for a system, I would treat it as a separate play. So my first entrance to my exit, that would be one play. And then I would, if I'm adding on a spike from my first entrance, I wouldn't even think about it as adding. I would think it's a second play, and I would probably have a whole nother spreadsheet for that second play. So theoretically, I can do either plays. I don't think about it as adding to the first play. I think about them as two separate plays, as if I even have two brokerage accounts. That's how separate they are.
That's really cool.
I don't believe in adding. I don't believe in, unless you have a play that like says you should add, I don't believe in adding. Each one of my plays is one entrance, one exit, one stop. And if I do add, it's probably a second play.
Okay.
Or I'm just discretionarily adding, like
Okay.
just by reading the tape and feeling. But that's not a play. That's just me doing things I shouldn't do.
Got it. Okay. Sweet. So favorite vacation spots? I mean, where are you going to buy your condo?
It's going to be in the mountains. And
Yeah.
right now, my first choice is Colorado, but the first thing I'm going to buy is a little mountain home condo.
Ski in, ski out.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, it doesn't even need to be for winter. I could be in the mountains all year round. It's my favorite place.
Very cool. Are you in
Yeah.
LA still?
Yeah, I'm in LA.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, with green investing in mind, we should probably, how are you being sustainable, besides sustainably growing your account?
With what do you mean? With
Well,
what?
what's one
green-
thing what's one thing you've done to be more sustainable?
Oh, well, I mean, dude, I used to grow food and I totally stopped. I need to get back into that. Honestly, I feel like I'm not as good as I used to be. I don't drive anywhere anymore because I work at home. So that's nice.
There you go. That's a
I can
big
just
one.
walk to like the grocery store and I mean, that's really nice. But yeah, I just like I'm a little hermit now in my home.
I think it goes well with the trading lifestyle.
Yeah, except I get really claustrophobic and like need to go to the mountains whenever I can.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining.
Yep.
I'm excited to see where you're at, in a year and 2 years.
Thanks, man. I wish you luck with your new podcast you're starting up.
Thanks for being the first guest. Do you have any
No problem.
ideas for someone?
Any ideas for a podcast?
Yeah.
Dude, just try to.
Someone you want to learn from, someone you think people could benefit from listening to.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's so many people on Twitter. You know what could be interesting if you found, especially because you're just starting, it could be actually really interesting if you found lower people that like started with like a 5K bankroll and are like gonna hit 6 figures soon. That would be an interesting perspective.
That's a good idea.
Dude, even if you talk to self-aware people that aren't doing that well, like,
Right.
and if they could be honest about why they're not doing that well, that would be really cool.
That
I
would
think people
probably
need to hear more about failures. I think in the trading world, all you hear are these people that are succeeding, and it's like really skewed. And of course, someone that succeeds has a completely different like perspective on how they got there, and it could even be beneficial to hear people that like have not succeeded at all.
yeah.
Cool.
I think that's a great idea. That's definitely not something that I seek out, but when I come across it, it definitely hits home.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you been trading?
I took my first trade December 2020.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. How'd it go?
Yeah. I made like $1. I took one share.
That is true. I always tell people to start with small size, but you can start with so small that like you don't feel the emotions, and that's kind of pointless too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took me like 6 months to start even taking like 100 shares.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to hear your first trade, I imagine you took maybe like a couple thousand shares, 5K shares or something.
No, I think it was like 1 or 2K shares, dude. And I remember it was just because I had no idea what was going on, and I just fully trusted my brother. That's the only reason that happened. I was completely ignorant.
But it hasn't hurt you. Like you talk about failures, but I'm not hearing them from you really. I mean, besides recently, you're testing stuff out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we were just lucky because 2020 was extraordinarily lucrative. Like
Do you
even
really,
in what's that?
you really believe that though? Because there's a lot of people that didn't make it in 2020, even with the.
For our system, we were
Okay.
making mistakes left and right. We were breaking our rules. I mean, not as bad as some people, but we weren't following our rules exactly the entire year. But it didn't matter because the play that year was just bringing out so much money. So we were better at following our rules in 2021. We had evolved by then, but we made less of a percentage gain because the system wasn't bringing out as much money. Our system's best year was 2020. And it was perfect because that's when we started, and we were still, breaking some rules, but it didn't matter because that's how lucrative it was. But now, like how it's been going this year, it's like I can't break a single rule because it's not as lucrative. There's not as many plays as there was back then.
It's pretty cool that you talking about your system doing this well in 2020, and you're never saying like I did this well because you can really back it up to you're simulating your gains basically.
Yeah, I have every ticker that fulfills our criteria. I have everything they did on the day since 2020. So, hindsight's 2020, but if I followed our system exactly in 2020, I think I made 300K. I turned 30 to 300 the first year. If I didn't break any rules, it would have been like double at least. And if I was doing it with the Kelly Criterion, it would have been millions of dollars. And now I have all these extra tools and I'm more knowledgeable and I'm more aware, but 2022 is significantly less of our system trades happening than in 2020. But that's just how it goes.
So Chris Verma chat room is worth it.
It depends on the type of trader you are. I mean, for Evan and I, it's Chris Verma's gap up shorts, they coincide with ours like 80% of the time. Even second day plays that coincide with ours 80-90% of the time. Evan's still trying to open up. Evan's talking about opening up his own chat room. So I'm not going to be, I'm going to be in there, but I'm not going to be like running it because like I was saying, I don't like being at my computer all day, but he's considering opening up his own. But Verma's amazing too, dude. Verma taught us so much. I mean, they're both good. It's going to be actually really interesting if Evan does actually open it up, because then we're going to reveal our system, and then it'll be fun because then people can compare, because there are differences between ours and Verma's. It's not that much, but there's definitely differences, and it will be fun, I think, for people to compare and then decide for themselves. Well, really how you decide for yourself is you just have to track your own data. That's how you decide.
And see how well you do with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to let you, I want to stick to our plan. But one thing I'm super interested in right now, it's, do you think there's like algos in these plays that do, 100 million shares? This is sort of this like running, that conversation I have with a trader who's much bigger than me, a little bigger than you, and from a CFA background. And so, retail can only trade so much. So when a stock's trading that much, like CLVR squeezed from like 2 to 5 in like an hour on Friday, and it was like 100 million volume. Like, what is that?
I don't know exactly. I do believe for sure there are algos in there. I mean, there's high frequency trading for sure. That's like public knowledge, I think. It's hard to tell if that's an algo. I mean, sometimes I'll be looking at the level 2 and I'll see it change, and it's really hard to describe. But when me and Evan, and when we're on the phone, we're like, oh, it looks like, we'll say something like, it looks like an algo just turned on. And it's because you see the level 2 change, and it starts moving differently. And, I don't know exactly what it is, but I don't know any other explanation. But there's got to be algos in there. It's just, is that what I'm actually seeing? I mean, I know that I was talking to a friend who, this is super fascinating. I was talking to a friend who works for a company, and she's an engineer for that company. And she's not allowed to say really anything else about that company. But basically, I think they're one of these like nameless billion-dollar companies that does high frequency trading. And it's something like, their power bill, this one company's power bill is like over $1 million. So if that's how much they're paying for power, how much do you think they're making with their AI and their algos? And there's stories about these guys spending hundreds of $1,000s on microfiber cables just to get like milliseconds faster than their competing, algo companies. But I mean, this is just kind of all hearsay. Like, I don't know, who knows, but it's worth around.
It's crazy, right? I mean, it doesn't affect your system. It's just another element.
No, it doesn't affect it. My feeling is that I play on pretty big time scales. Like, I looking at full days. The smaller you go, like people that trade by the hour or even by the minutes, the smaller you go, the more you're going to have to deal with robots. So I let the robots have it to themselves. They can have the minutes, they can have the 5 minutes, the 15 minutes, and I'll just go bigger, and I won't have to deal with them as drastically.
That totally makes sense. And if an investment bank is going to throw an algo in on like a day one gap and then gap it up for a second day, and you have to short it the next day so they can execute their exercise prices or whatever, it's like, that's a theory. Maybe it's happening, maybe it isn't. But
yeah,
having that longer time scale, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, because then it kind of goes hand in hand with a wider stop. If you have a longer time scale, you're in smaller size to make up account for a wider stop. So the algos are doing all this crazy stuff, but you're like stops up here. So you're just kind of watching it happen.
On skiing.
What's that?
Yeah, just you can go skiing or set your stop.
Yeah, exactly.
The hard work's done before you get in the trade, I guess.
Yeah, because our data, factors in, algos have been here for as long as I've been tracking, so it's factored in.
That's a good point. Sweet. Well, I just want to thank you for doing this. You didn't have to do it.
No problem. I know what it's like, man. I was like starving, trying to get followers on social media, man. I know what it's like.
Did you ever come across Casey Frey?
Yeah, dude. When I first started getting attention on social media, dude, every single comment was like, "Are you Casey Fry's brother?" Dude, so much so I made a video where I was playing his brother.
There you go. Play right into it.
I convinced people. I would go on his account and comment in his videos and be like, "Yo, dude, like you gotta call mom, dude. We miss you." And then people would start thinking I'm his brother. Yeah.
It's a small place, the internet. Well,
yeah.
Hopefully, followers are, I don't know about you, but maybe behind me. And, if you have someone like Alex and Be the Story who can, attract people into trading and create a community, but, just having a forum to meet people, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Discord, connections, I think is important. So
yeah,
thanks again. And
no problem.
I hope you have a sick 2022 that's low stress and
yeah,
all that good stuff. Thanks, man.